Hampton Roads has a long-running high school and college sports tradition. It's time to give them the spotlight they deserve. This is 757 Sports Talk. Here are Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
Good Saturday morning and welcome to another edition of 757 Saturday Sports Talk powered by CoVA Sports TV. Like, share, and subscribe to the YouTube channel wherever you are tuning in on this Memorial Day weekend. We greet you and thank you for doing so here on the program. And good morning, Coach Young. We got a couple of hours to talk sports and everything else with all of you out there. Interact with us through all our social channels such as Facebook, IG, Twitter, X, you name it. Be there, be square, as they like to say. And how is life treating you?
Good morning. Good morning. Well, I tell you what, this Memorial Day snuck up on me. I keep thinking Memorial Day is like May 30th every year, so it isn't. So I got to catch up a little bit, but things are all right. Beautiful day out. Took the doggy out for a morning stroll. Great weather day out there, and it is Memorial Day weekend. Hopefully everybody remembers the main reason of Memorial Day weekend for all those who have served, are serving, especially to the families who lost people serving. Our condolences and gratitude goes out to them. So that's the reason for the 3-day weekend, which those people that are working love because Monday means for most people no work.
This is true. It's an extended weekend, which people love all over our country. And again, like you said, echo those sentiments. Salute to those that have helped serve and protect all of us, which is so awesome to see. Ed, I hate to begin the show on a somber note, and we're actually going to talk a little bit more about it with one of our guests that's scheduled to join us in about 45 minutes or so, maybe a little less than 45 minutes. But the passing of one of the more unique and beloved football coaches in the Hampton Roads area and the entire state of Virginia, for that matter. And I'm talking about one Tommy Reamon, who passed away early Thursday morning, late into the night, Wednesday and early into Thursday, at the age of 73. Suffered a stroke a couple months back, had been hospitalized, was following updates from his son, Tommy Reamon Jr., who quarterbacked Old Dominion's football team, if you recall, at the very start of its infancy of its program under Bobby Wilder. Made his commitment live on TV, in fact, to ODU. And you hate to see it because we've had so many coaches over the years that we've gotten to know and enjoy having come on our program, first on radio. Now we're doing it on the podcast side of things, which will also have a new element that'll be added in the coming weeks that we'll highlight as we move the calendar into June from May. But my goodness, he left an impact. And I think it reminds me of one of his dear friends that we lost that's up in heaven, probably sharing some laughs with him and cracking jokes. They were together at Warwick High School, Ben Moore. You don't always think about the career records with those guys because they just touch so many lives. And I'm sure we'll get into this with Darnell a little bit later on. Not just he had really 3 different types of careers. He had the football coaching, which was 35 seasons, 352 games at 6 different Hampton Roads schools. I think people sometimes forget that 6th one, which was Manor and Portsmouth for a couple years to go with Ferguson, Denby, Gloucester, Lansdowne, and Warwick. But he was an actor in such acclaimed television and movies as North Dallas 40 and Charlie's Angels. And he was a heck of a running back before he got into acting and coaching, where he went to the World Football League, had a brief stint with the Pittsburgh Steelers, Kansas City Chiefs, Missouri. He set records there and actually began that journey in Hampton Roads at George Washington Carver High School in Newport News, and then had to go the junior college route to Fort Scott. So, my goodness, he lived it all in a lot of ways, and he'll be missed for sure.
Yeah, the news was hard to take. I knew Tommy as a more of an acquaintance than a dear friend, but at the same time, every time I spoke to Tommy, whether it be at a game or a practice, he he just had that spirit of him where he was funny without really being funny, knowledgeable, very knowledgeable. Um, he knew what he was talking about, and it wasn't just so much the football as we know him for, and the 6 schools that now that you mentioned that, I said to myself, wow, I forgot that many schools. But a lot of times people wanted him to turn some programs around, or the idea of a program that was already good to try to keep it where it's at. And Tommy would be that type of coach that could do that. Last stint at Denby, which was really tough, team that hadn't won much at all. And he kind of instilled that winning philosophy back into them. It's a tough loss because it's a guy that touched a lot of people. And the idea that like he's an icon, not so much just into coaching, but you talk a little bit about his background, and I think as somebody gets older, you forget what they did when they were young. And Tommy was a very, very good running back, which is secondary to what I think to what his real character is. And he'll be missed. And it's crazy how you mentioned maybe those 2 guys are getting together up there in the Lord's land, Ben Moore and Tommy Reamon, and boy, there will be some stories there. Those are 2 very different individuals, good character dudes, and he'll be missed. He'll be definitely missed.
Yeah, for sure. And I hate to make analogies or comparisons of the coaches, but I brought up the 3 different segments. It's almost like, and again, they were way different personalities, although there was a beloved factor for each. But like John Madden, where he had the career as a football coach, as an announcer, and then this video game guy. So you might know Tommy Reamon in 3 different ways. Yeah, he was the football coach. Some thought he was a little different, unorthodox, a little kooky, whatever it might be, but he had that very infectious laugh and smile. And then he was a running back, and in between he did about a dozen or so TV shows and films. And it's rare to see someone have that type of impact and effect. So you're welcome all morning long if you had a chance to meet up with Coach Reamon or get to know him in any way. Any stories you want to share, you're more than welcome to do so on our chat line through CoVA Sports TV on YouTube, the Facebook, the Twitter, any of the outlets on social media on this Memorial Day weekend, where we'll also turn some of our attention to not just the sad news of the passing of a Hampton Roads treasure, but Ed, it is Memorial Day weekend, and we ask people out there, what do you do to spend your weekend on Memorial Day, be it sports-related, non-related? Are you dipping into the pool? I love that. Are you cooking burgers, getting on the grill, hot dogs, you name it, going to a cookout, you going to the beach, you going to a movie, you going to see Mission Impossible and Tom Cruise, or are you staying in and just sportsing it up because you have the Indy 500, you have the NHL and NBA playoffs where you literally have 3 of the 4 series in the conference finals rounds at 2-love. Only series that's tied is the Hockey Western Conference with Edmonton and Dallas at 1 apiece. And had Edmonton not blown a multiple goal lead in game 1, they'd be up 2-love on the Dallas Stars, who rallied in the first contest before losing the second one at home. Now they head to Canada. Meanwhile, the Pacers up 2-love on the Knicks, won both in New York at Madison Square Garden. The first one in dramatic come-from-behind fashion. Oklahoma City blitzing Minnesota twice at home. Now they head to Minnesota Target Center for game number 3. And the NHL, where it's game number 3 coming up in the Sunshine State, Florida, smacking Carolina. 10 goals scored in 2 wins, 5 apiece, and the Hurricanes not competitive in those 2 games. So a lot happening in the world of sports. Regionals getting ready to get revved up in spring sports. On the local front, 757, I saw one of the big upsets that happened was Hampton got knocked off on the baseball diamond the other day by Bethel. Hampton was off to a wonderful start under Coach Matt Mitchell, the son of the late, great Danny Mitchell, who they honored, by the way, recently at Hampton High, put him in their Crabber Hall of Fame. But certainly First Colonial trying to win another state championship, coming off a big run last year. They're the top team by many in the area, a Class 5 threat. A lot of teams, like we said, softball, you name it, different spring sports that are trying to gear up and make a run to the championships and the spring jubilees, which are just around the corner. And for those wondering about some of those times, VHSL and locations and dates, VHSL.org will have a lot of the brackets through Max Preps, whether it be baseball, lacrosse, outdoor track, soccer, softball, tennis, you name it, as those regionals pretty much get going here to close May and head into June.
Well, yeah, as you mentioned, there's a whole lot going on. Memorial, some people use Memorial Day weekend as this unofficial beginning of summer. That's why I'm thinking it's May 30th. We go into June. Of course, I think June 21st is considered the first day of summer. I look at it as when the weather's warm and stays consistently warm, we're into summer. But yeah, I myself today, I'm going. I got to enjoy this weather, so I'm going to be out and about most of the day and early evening, and then probably get back in and see some of that action that's going on. Tell you what, basketball has just got me all twisted up. Um, I I had Minnesota in 7 and Indiana in 7.
Well, those could still happen. They're not dead.
Yeah, it could, but I'm going to say highly doubtful. Hockey wise, I had the um, Panthers in 6 and the Stars in 7, and the Panthers to win it all. Those ones I'll stay with. But I think I'm going to make the jump switch. I think Oklahoma City takes down, based on them 2 games, takes down Minnesota. Oklahoma City has gained even more of my respect. A lot of people talked about how young this team is, and they got to get another year under their belt before a legit contender. Forget all that mess. This team comes to play both ends of the floor. They play extremely well together. I know it's a young team. I think average age 25, which is the youngest in the NBA. They get contributions off the bench. They just wearing out Minnesota. And I think Minnesota's a very talented team. I think man for man, a little bit more talented than Oklahoma City, but they're not beating Oklahoma City. I don't know how many games it's going to go, but I don't see it beating Oklahoma City. Of course, when the Knicks took down my Celtics, I made the confirmation or the declaration that I'm going to go for the root for the Knicks now to win it all. But I did pick the Pacers in 7, and nothing that I've seen is going to change that. The Knicks are worn out. They're just worn out. Thibodeau is using those guys maybe a little bit too much. He's not trusting his bench at all. I don't think you can do that against Indiana. Indiana plays a great open court game.
They do.
They play well together. They use their bench. I just think right now that's a mismatch. I know New York had the lead. The first game against Indiana reminded me of New York against the Celtics, except New York reversed the roles, blew a lead.
Yeah, it was 99.9% as opposed to 99.3%. And Tyrese Halliburton is really the guy that pushes the pace for them. You just hit on the pace word. And there's a lot going on, like you said. By the way, ODU and Norfolk State, home and home series coming up in men's basketball. It's scrolling across our ticker telling you about that. We've got, and we'll show you on our screen here in a moment, I do have the Spring Jubilee slates for baseball, softball, soccer, and lacrosse for 5 and 6. I'll show it to you for 4 and 3 as well. But, yeah, I think the Pacers, Pascal Siakam had a monster game, just a monster game in game number 2. There was no answer for him. And it feels like any button Rick Carlisle's pushing is working. Tom Thibodeau, they're already calling for his ouster in his head in New York. Believe it or not, I woke up and it's trending this morning. Can we get Michael Malone, the guy who got ousted unceremoniously from the Nuggets, not even 2 full seasons after winning a championship with that group led by Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray that beat the Heat in 5 games back in 2023. He's a free agent. He's on the TV with ESPN's Western Conference Finals coverage with OKC Minnesota. And there's people screaming for Michael Malone, who may be, I know you love using this term, cut from the same cloth in a lot of respects as Tom Thibodeau. You love that, cut from the same cloth. I know you love that. Cloth brother.
I heard that somewhere before.
Yeah, you've heard that somewhere before. But look, I mean, I think Michael Malone should be coaching somewhere. And I think he will be next season very, very soon. But the Knicks, the stat that blew my mind, and this is not to take anything from their run, although it will certainly sound like that. The Knicks entered the conference finals having seen their starters outscored in the first 2 rounds. You say, how is that possible? They beat the Celtics in 6 and the Pistons in 6. But yes, statistically, their starters got outscored in the first 2 rounds of the playoffs. And you can go back to that Detroit series. They were fortunate to win Game 4, no foul call on Hardaway. They rallied with a hectic rally in Game 6 to avoid a 7th game in New York, where they lost 2 of 3 to this up-and-coming Detroit outfit. And then the Celtics games, they were down 20-plus in the first 2. So Indiana, I think, may have gotten a little bit forgotten, discredited about. And I'll tell you what, when they stole Game 1, you thought New York might come out with a first quarter blast. They didn't. There was a little bit of a hangover effect, and they never had full grasp of that game last night. Oklahoma City's been way too much. And the hockey, we haven't had any overtime drama yet in the hockey, which you anticipate us getting in one of these conference finals at some point. But they could be, it looks like it's going to be a short series of Carolina and Florida, who's really just baffled the Carolina goalie. And furthermore, the Hurricanes have now lost 14 consecutive conference finals games as a franchise. How is that possible? You didn't just luck up and win one? You lost 14 straight? 14 straight? That's a longer streak than Ed Young's consecutive days above. No, it's not quite longer than your consecutive days above Earth streak. But, man, it's a longer streak. It's a longer streak than consecutive days you've had the green drink that we can't say on the air because they don't sponsor the show. Man.
Yeah, I can't figure that one out either. I thought
psychological and mental at this point. It's got to be, not just physical.
Yeah, and you wonder, it's a good point when we look at what's going on in sports in terms of teams losing, and we think, okay, well, they're good. Physically, they got this, they got that. What's going on? And a lot of it has to come down to what's going on in their head in terms of what they believe, or I don't know. You would think as a pro, the ultimate athlete would be a professional athlete. They've been through high school. They've been through college. They're getting paid to play good money for the most part, that they get out there and they play. But we're not in their minds when they're out there. We just see what they're doing physically. And, you mentioned about the Knicks, the New York people, playoffs are not enough. You're going to have to win also. In reference, the Yankees, which I'll throw this in there, lose to the Colorado Rockies. And I'm on the Yankee sites, and they are killing Aaron Boone again.
Well, we know that's just a regular season game. Worst team in baseball against the team that you believe is the best. That's your team. There was a lot happened last night. It was a 13-inning game with the Dodgers and the Mets. There was a ton. The Padres finally got a win against the Braves. But our man Johnny D wants to know, before we get to that, and we got one of our viewers is watching us from Jamaica that we'll tell you about in a second. Yeah, Jamaica. We're on in Jamaica, ladies and germs.
Oh, we got to do a show from Jamaica. We have got to do a show from Jamaica.
I don't know. You and Jamaica could go badly.
I wouldn't come back. I already
Cat
know
versus
that.
Mitchell Robinson. So now this is an interesting question. Cat sat in that fourth quarter if you watched it, which I know you honky talk around. You probably didn't. And Karl Anthony Towns is viewed as an all-star. I believe he was third-team All-NBA, if memory serves me right, from the list that came out yesterday. Jalen Brunson is, right there among the top 10, 12 guys in the sport. But let me ask you, do you sit Cat like Tibbs did, or do you play Mitchell Robinson, who's a rim protector and so important and integral for the rebounding, yet he might not match up as well in this series as he did the Boston series, and his foul shooting is abysmal. I mean, so abysmal, he makes Shaq look like a decent foul shooter. It makes you look like a pretty good one. And I don't know that – I think he went too long with Mitchell Robinson. And listen, now Cat is bad on defense, Johnny, if you're watching. Both he and Brunson have been on the struggle bus on defense, as great as Brunson is. They have just been – Indiana has sliced and diced this defense. I don't know where Tibbs turns, because he hasn't used his bench a ton, and he's not a big believer in using the subs. This has been a downfall of a couple guys in this postseason, most notably in round 1 in the West, Mr. Jonathan Clay Reddick, he of Cave Spring High out in Roanoke, who refused to play any subs in Game 4 against the T-Wolves down 2-1, and let LeBron with his AARP card and Luka coming off his illness play the whole duration of the fourth. But what do you think? The question was posed to you. Cat Robinson, what do you think Tibbs has got to do? Can he fix this? Is this broken? Is it fixable? What do you think?
Well, it's fixable, but like everybody else said, they have to win game 3. Have to win game 3.
Thank you, Captain
So,
Obvious.
yeah, you got it right. So you're going to have to put out your best. I go with Towns. Mitch Robinson is limited. Yes, he's a rim protector and all that, but I think the longer you play, it's diminishing returns.
Yes.
Towns hangs around on the perimeter a little bit too much for me. And Robinson doesn't do that because he understands he has trouble shooting 12 feet, let alone trying to go out to three-point lane.
Now, you said that in the first 2 rounds. It wasn't a problem for Knicks fans or anybody when he was doing that, but it's now a problem because
I've never liked Towns at the three-point line. I don't mind a three-point shot.
It's threes. If you can make them, if you can hit them, stop them. The game is a 3-point game now. It's all about it all revolves around the 3-point shot.
Yeah, to me, the emphasis on all these missed threes as a coach gets to me because my first reaction is stop shooting threes. If you can't make them, stop shooting them. Unless you're a Steph Curry where you are bona fide, you might go into a little slump. Okay, get to the hole, especially when you're 6'8", 6'9", 6'10", 6'11", 7 foot. Get to the hole. Right. That's the one thing about today's NBA that really, really bothers me. And I don't get into these eras and who was the best and whatever. But today's NBA with all these guys shooting these threes and missing and then still shooting them, and then they lose and wonder why they lost. I mean, come on. But in terms of course, people who know me, I'm going to find a way to get the max out of both because I do a lot of situational substitution. So Robinson's going to be in there on a defensive dead ball situation, but I got to get him out on a lot of offensive situations because you just foul him. And
you can't inhibit him. You got to let him shoot. Shooters shoot. You got to let him put it up. Pull.
Yeah, shooters shoot. That's the problem. Everybody's a shooter. And as I always said, isn't that
what Shannon Evans, who's now playing pro ball? And by the way, he's got a camp coming back to Nance River. Isn't that what he did for you? He just kept shooting, and you said, "Come on, keep shooting, Shannon."
Well, yeah, but he also got benched for missing threes too back in the day and I always told him to be a real good 3-point shooter, I should say maker, you have to really have a strong pull-up game and a finish game. Why? Because now it's harder to be covered. We don't know we know what he's capable of. I don't know if we can stop all 3. So I always like to tell 3-point shooters, make your first couple buckets at the rim. Get a pull-up. Now when you start shooting, because what's going to happen is when you're out there at the 3-point line, they're going to back off because they're going to know, well, he's a driver. He's a finisher. Now you're getting an open 3, maybe 1 or 2. Boom, boom, you're making them. Get in a rhythm because key for shooters to make them is rhythm. So instead of just firing them up, just throwing them up there like a shooting contest. And I think that's important for a person that's considered a 3-point shooter. But I've always yelled in practice, I got enough 3-point shooters. Do I have any 3-point makers? Those kids I'm going to play a lot. Show me you can shoot 33. They always say 33% from 3-point line and up is good. And my dog has just mentioned that too. He's a shooter. That if you're shooting under 33%,
he's a barker too.
If you're shooting under 33%, I always tell my guys, it's hard to make them because you're going to be on the bench. And no question, especially if you're not giving me anything else.
Well, hold on. High school guys shoot it at a far different clip than pro guys. I don't think you can make that analogy. That's not fair. NBA guys are shooting at a way different percentage that makeable shots than college. I mean, college and high school guys.
No.
Yeah,
if I'm coaching an NBA team and I got a dude shooting 20% from 3-point line,
nobody's shooting. They wouldn't be in the league. Hold on. They wouldn't be in the league if they're shooting 20% from 3-point line.
Well, there's guys out there shooting 20% from the field.
Name them. Let's hear them. Come on, rattle them off.
I don't have the statistics in front of me.
My point. They're not in the league if they're shooting 20% from 3 now. That was in. You're living in 1995, 96. That's not anymore. That doesn't exist anymore.
Well, it'd be a good time to live because some of these jokers that are out there making $22 million a year.
That's great. You go get in the way back time machine. We're in 2025.
Yeah, Karl Anthony Towns is shooting threes and missing them out there. His ass is on the bench with me. You can fire me all you want.
So I'm trying to win games. Hold on now. Karl Anthony Towns missing threes is
what's his percentage? You got it?
I'm going to pull it up. you're telling me it's why they lost game 1 or 2. Is that what you're telling me?
No, I'm saying he misses too many threes for me. I'm not going to put
you.
losses 100% on him.
Okay,
no.
he was 2 of 5 last night from 3. So
That's
he missed.
acceptable.
Oh, that's acceptable. Okay. Game 1. Did they lose that game 138 to 135 in overtime and give up literally like 23 points in 4 minutes? Was that Karl Anthony Towns' 3-point attempts that did him in? Because he was 4 of 8 in game 1.
No,
So 50% in game 1 and 40% in game 2. And this is why they're down 2 love.
No, they're down 2 love because the first game
Can't
they
guard.
were out. You're not playing enough people. These guys are wearing out. Now, I've also heard somebody say they make too much money to be wearing out. Doesn't matter whether they play every second or half a game. They should be given 100%. I say the same thing too, but they're human, and they're going to wear out. The more you play them, they're going to wear out. And the thing I don't understand with coaches, and I'll say it because I'm one of them, is how do you have guys on a team that you don't play at all? Why are they on the team if they don't play at all? You don't give them a shot at all. And the answer I always get back is they're not that good. Then I say, why they're on a team? Get rid of them. You know, if you're only going to play,
you want to play 14 guys in a pivotal game 2 of an Eastern Conference Finals.
I'm going to find a role for every player, and they're going to have to be ready to get into a game, whether it's playoff or not. If you don't play guys early in the season and you get into a playoff, I don't care if you're junior, middle school, high school, pro, whatever, and you get into a must-win situation and you have to play your bench for whatever reason, and they don't deliver, that's on the coach. That's not on the player. It's on the coach. Now, if you played them and they played their role, and now you put them in a pivotal situation and they produce, that's why they're there. Maybe the pivotal situation is 3 good minutes.
Or you put them in a pivotal situation and they go 1 for 5 and they crap the bed and your 8-point lead turns into a 4-point deficit.
And that's on the player.
There's a couple of ways to look at it. That's on the player?
That's on the player.
No, I don't think it's on the player necessarily. It could be on the coach. Why did you take out your hot hand? It's like you're contradicting yourself. These guys are wearing out. You play a guy 34 minutes as opposed to 42. This is what you save him for. You do that load management, rest him for the playoffs. That's what you do it for. Again, it wasn't a problem for Tibbs in rounds 1 and 2, but now it's a problem. Now his guys are worn down. Now they're worn out. And again, I'm not saying it isn't. I find it, I don't want to say comical as much as ironic that now it is a problem that you don't use Ochua, or you want to go Landry Shamet. You want him out there shooting threes, or what you want him out there? Okay. But that to me is, we could spend hours and hours upon this, but we have a break to take. And as we go to break, it's Max Fried today for your Yanks at Colorado against Kyle Freeland. Are you worried it could be 2 straight defeats, or do you think Fried will stop the bleeding?
Well, seeing that my dumb self put a few shekels on a 3-game sweep and blew it right off the water, right off the first game.
Oh, a sweep. Oh, you didn't think the Rockies could get 1. They might be thinking about sweeping you. You might have been right about a sweep. You might have had the wrong team.
Yeah, that's what my worry is now. Max Fried out there, based on what has happened so far, I feel good. But then again, who knows? I've said this so many times. This is why the Yankees are the greatest baseball team. Everybody plays well against them. Everybody gets excited to play them. Everybody hates the Yankees. So they play their guys that are hitting 192 are smacking hits like Babe Ruth. Guys that have a 9.00 ERA are throwing like Sandy Koufax. It's just what it is. I mean, it is what it is.
If everybody plays well against the Yankees, how come Texas lost to them 1-0 the other day?
That was an anomaly there.
It was an anomaly. That's why Texas has had 1 or no runs in the most amount of games as anybody in baseball this season.
And, when I looked at their lineup, I could see why. Of course, without Seager playing, that hurts. But then again, they played a lot of games without him. He's always hurt. But, yeah, that was bad. And Bruce Bochy, Bruce, I don't know. If you were in New York, they'd be calling for your head. Like, hey, wait a minute. How about Baltimore? Now that we're jumping around.
Yeah, we are. Baltimore. We got to talk about that later in the show. Brandon Hyde is out literally minutes after we got off the air last Saturday. And by the way, you see that scrolling across ticker that Masson's going to pick up some of the Tides games that are also on WTVZ on the TV side of things. Norfolk Tides, who are playing in St. Paul with a twin build today. But Brandon Hyde got the boot. Mr. Manzolino, now the interim manager, and the O's give up a bundle of runs. Was it 13 in the 8th last night as Rafael Devers had a career day, and they couldn't get the second game in of that series. So they have a double dip today in Beantown up there in Boston.
Yeah,
didn't like the move, did you? You hated
Baltimore. Baltimore's probably right after my Yankees is my next team.
Oh,
here we go. Them now.
What do you have like a pecking order of your teams? You're going to be talking about the Texas or the Seattle Mariners. Yeah, they're my number 14 team. Who cares? Your
Seattle's
number 2 team.
Seattle, I think, is 21st on my list.
Oh my gosh!
Baltimore being number 2 is hard to watch
teams.
Because now they're reminding me of Arizona, your D-backs, and they're hard to watch now. Right now, they're hard to watch. And firing Hyde was not good. And I understand. Well, we got to do something. How about cleaning the house up top? GM got to go. He's a joker to put the squad together with no pitching.
Mike Elias is a joker, which, by the way, he might have been the guy. You know, this happens in sports sometimes. He's good enough to get you to the water, but you can't swim in the deep waters with him. In other words, he's good enough to rebuild it, but now he's not good enough to construct championship level. You know, a lot of guys can pick a top 5 draft choice. You know, you get some of these hot shots. The Orioles have had some guys, hot shots that have come up from the Tides, the Mountcastles, the Rushmans, and Jackson Holiday, among others. But now the inability to assemble a proper pitching staff that can compete in the American League and to maintain or sustain its level of excellence that it exhibited the past 2 years with 90-plus wins in 24 and 100-plus wins in 23, and quick ousters at the hands of both aforementioned Texas, which won a World Series a couple years ago with Bruce Bochy, former Tide against my D-backs, and last year at the hands of Kansas City. The O's have not recovered from that, plus Corbin Burns' departure to the desert. They're just a mess right now, and they're throwing Emmanuel Rivera, a position player, late in the game yesterday against Boston to save its pitching for the double dip and the remaining games of the series. That was hard to watch. They look pretty rough, but you're missing the chase here. 6-0, 1.29 ERA. The left-hander Fried against the left-hander Freeland, 0-6, 5.68 ERA. Please tell me the Bronx Bombers are not losing again today.
I will say they'll not lose today because Freed's on the hill. They'll get a win today.
And if they do, you have to get a Colorado Rockies tattoo.
No, not you and your stupid. You got to
do
this
about
and that.
You're the one that stupidly decided to do a wager on a sweep.
Yeah, I did. Now,
so you
hold on. No, let's not get into wagering because if I put out here what happened to you
can't validate that. You admitted what you did. I'll just refute anything you say because you're a liar anyway. You're a fibber. You're a fibber, as Judge Judy said. You're a fibber. You're a fibber. I'll show that later in the show.
My stuff. I'm open book. What you see is what you get. I don't have any problem telling anybody what I think about them, and I don't have any problem. Hey, when I mess up, I let it known. And yeah, I put a few shekels down on a sweep because I thought this would be the one. In the first game, even Judge hits a home run and they still can't pull it out, losing 3-2. But
had the lead, right? Weren't you up 2-1 and you lost it?
Yeah, lost it. Yeah, after having the lead. And speaking of firing managers, we mentioned Bud Black too, and he got axed. So we got to stop talking about possibility of guys getting canned and they'll be gone because I think the next guy who's in hot water in the majors is probably Ron Washington with the Angels.
There's our man, Derek, coach getting a tattoo. And by the way,
Derek, if you ever bet things in your life for guarantees, you can bet that one. This guy ain't getting no tattoo.
Speaking of Derek, there it is. That's a sight from Jamaica. Our man, Mr. Fulgham. Look at that. Sent me a picture this morning. He's in Jamaica. Derek, aren't you jealous? You should be. You should.
Derek, I don't know whether to say great job or I hate the heck out of you because you're where I want to be. Jamaica. Woo! It's
you've been banned. I bet they had your picture when he got off the plane with a big X over it saying, not allowed.
Well, Derek, do the tourism for me. Get the spots because it's in the bucket list that I've got to see Jamaica before I go 6 feet under, which could be any moment now.
Yeah.
That's a place I've got to go.
All right, we're going to take a timeout. We've got more coming your way, including Coach Darnell Moore, who will join us to remember the late, great Tommy Reamon. We've got a special edition of Fact or Fiction with the mystery guest. Ed Young has no idea who it is. He knows it's my father on Father's Day, but he has no idea who it is today, and he has no idea the questions, nor does the contestant know the questions. It'll be 5 trivia, sports-related questions worth 1 point apiece, and the always popular bonus question worth 2 points. But at this time, we take a timeout, pay some bills. More coming on 757 Saturday Sports Talk. It's CoVA Sports TV. Stay tuned.
For any athlete, making it to the top sometimes comes with a few steps back. That's why parents count on CHKD Sports Medicine, advanced diagnostics, treatment, and rehabilitation for sports injuries just for young athletes like yours. With convenient locations across Hampton roads and a whole team of experts here to keep your favorite player at the top of their game. CHKD Sports Medicine. Learn more at chkd.org or call the CHKD Sports Injury Hotline.
CoVA Painting. We don't just paint, we transform spaces. Visit covapainting.com or call 757-550-7357 and mention the Sportsplex for 10% off of projects over $1,000.
What's up at DQ? Oh, just the best deal ever! The $7 Bacon Cheeseburger Meal Deal. Bacon cheeseburger for a limited time, plus fries, drink, and a sundae. Yeah, this is not the time to be modest. It's all full size for just $7. And there's bacon on that burger. The $7 Bacon Cheeseburger Meal Deal. Now, for a limited time on the $7 Meal Deal lineup. Only at DQ. Happy tastes good.
What does happiness mean to you?
Being in the ocean with you, watching you catch super fun waves.
In Virginia Beach, happiness is breaking barriers and savoring the sunshine.
I couldn't pick a better place or a better person to be with. This is what makes me happy.
Happiness is going all out.
And taking it all in.
Here, happiness is whatever you make it. Find yours in Virginia Beach.
I grew up here. I know this town. I know the people here. More important, they know me. As a banker at Town Bank, we become part of the communities we serve. The people who bank with us, our members, know us. When you bank with Town Bank, you'll know your banker. You'll know you can reach us, and you'll know we're here for you.
James Catato tells us tonight there's a new team making new noise in the USL2 scene on the other side of the water.
Something special is brewing inside the walls of the Virginia Beach Sportsplex.
We're not here for moral victories. When we're on our day, we're a legit team.
See the stars of the future in pre-professional action at the Virginia Beach Sportsplex. This combined season ticket special is for men's and women's. That's 15 games for just $100 for adults and $80 for youth. VBU has a brand new women's team that competes in the W League. Soccer fans, it's time to rally behind Virginia Beach United. Tickets are on sale now. Visit vbunited.com. Don't miss out on Virginia Beach United.
You're a fibber.
I'm a what?
Fibber.
Okay.
Liar.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, so you moved in May.
Okay. I have the phone number.
Well, what difference does it make? You weren't living there. I asked you where you were living. You told me that's where you were living. When I was going to call you, said, well, I wasn't really living there. I was living with my mother.
Only for a month.
What month?
June.
Clearly she's a liar, Your Honor.
I know.
No, I'm asking.
I know she is.
This is 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Here are Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
You're just like her, Ed. I told you, you're a fibber. You're a fibber. I love those little shorts. They're all over the web. Those are great. With little, they turn people into little children. They might do that with us. Turn our little talking heads into little kitties, babbling. So fun. So neat to see. A lot happening. And earlier on the show, we posed a question to all of you out there. How do you spend your Memorial Day sports weekend? Is it sports related or not? Do you get away from sports? It's a great diversion sometimes for folks to put on a ball game, go to a baseball game, check out some hockey, some basketball, some soccer. You saw VBU. You can check that out at the Sportsplex. So much happening around the 757 and beyond. Ed's looking down. He must have a collection of ladies he's looking at over there. I'm sorry. Go ahead. What's happening?
No, just some people. Again, I'm going to make this statement. I did it last week. People, if you want a question answered, you're going to have to ask it on here. Don't text me. Ask it on the line. We'll go over it.
Well, just read what they're texting you. Go ahead, read it. Go ahead, read it.
Somebody wants to know. We didn't mention it. There's so much going on. We did mention it. It's one of the maybe the biggest thing of the weekend. Indy 500.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of are we going to make some predictions? Whatever we can. I'm not a real big race car enthusiast, and if I am, I'm more of a NASCAR than I am Indy series dude. But yeah, I like to. I know there's been some controversy in this year's 500 that I'm hearing bits and pieces on the news about the Penske team, that has some favorite drivers, and I think the guy that won it last year is a Penske driver, and they did some things they weren't supposed to be doing. What's Derek wants to know? Make sure you're wearing sunglasses on the beach. Derek, use the son of a gun, Derek. Derek, I'm going to say.
If Coach doesn't have any sunglasses, Derek, he'd be behind bars. We'll just leave it at that.
Well, first of all, Derek,
because if looks could put you in prison, he'd be there.
Yeah, you have to wear sunglasses for health reasons in the sun. You'd be foolish not to wear sunglasses. You got to protect the eyes. I'm assuming, Derek, maybe I shouldn't say this out loud. Are you in Jamaica on your own? Or
that's his business. You don't need to put his business out there like that. We don't put your business out there like that. You just drag your business out is what happens.
Well, if I'm in Jamaica, I'll be there probably on my own, but I won't leave on my own. Let's just put it that way.
Oh no, they'll make you leave by the time you get there. There's no
Jamaica. In all seriousness, Jamaica is one of them countries that there's a good chance once I get there, I would not leave. Okay. I just have that feeling. I've never been there, but I got that feeling. That would be me.
Hey, speaking of someone asking earlier in the show, someone did hit me up on the chat line and wanted to know if I could show the Spring Jubilee. So I'll give it to you real quickly before Darnell Moore is expected to hop on here with us. Hopefully not having any trouble getting on here. And I'll read you a couple of the favorites to Indianapolis 500 while we have a moment as well. Can you see it on the screen there, Edward? I hope you can. Oh, I'll have to zoom in for you because that is hard to read, I'm sure. There is your Jubilee for Class 5 and 6. If we have time, we'll do 4 and 3 and even 1 and 2 if people care. So the state semis, it's not that far off in the distance. Friday, June 13th at Glen Allen and Deep Run High Schools for Class 6 and Class 5. We'll see if First Colonial gets back there for the baseball. Softball, you got it at the same locations. Saturday's your championship game. And then soccer, as we go down below that, you will see soccer has Class 5 and 6. Girls at Mills Godwin for semis, boys at Deep Run. Class 6, girls at Douglas Freeman, boys at Glen Allen. And then the finals for 5 are at Deep Run. The finals for 6 are at Glen Allen. And then lacrosse also has its championships on Saturday, June the 14th. That's a pretty big Saturday. And somebody's asked me to do something on that Saturday, and I can't remember what the heck it is. I know it's Father's Day weekend, but I have no idea what it is. Hopefully I have it on my calendar. We shall see. But there you have it. And then the following 2 weekends, I know you and I plan to be on the move with the VA Live basketball events taking place at Springfield and Henrico Sports Center. So there you have it. Oh, and Mary Harkins chiming in that Coach Pry and Coach Montgomery from Virginia Tech were in town this week. Didn't catch that, but Brent Pry trying to get the Hokies on the right path in that ACC that is now dominated by Bill Belichick and his girlfriend over at UNC. And Clemson still is in the league, by the way, defending ACC champs who knocked off SMU, SMU, in the championship game. And we'll see if the ACC is as relevant as it has been in years past, with the SEC and the Big Ten now becoming the power brokers, power conferences, if you will, for college football, which leads me to the news that came out this week in college football, Ed, about the playoff. I'm sure you saw it. We'll go to a more straightforward way of filling out the bracket. They're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4. So you won't now be able to take that long shot chip on an Arizona State and Boise and feel you can win a whole lot of money. That's out the window for a guy like you and others that want to do it that way. You wouldn't have had Ohio State and Oregon meet as early as they did a season ago. Buckeyes, who responded from the loss to Michigan to close out the regular season, didn't win the Big Ten championship, didn't make it to the Big Ten championship game, but ended up hoisting the national championship trophy by beating your Fighting Irish of Notre Dame, who had knocked out both Penn State and Georgia earlier in the CFP. So what do you like it? I think it's a move in the right direction. However, I know this could spawn a rant from you because you're all about having the little guy. I think every conference champion should have the MAC, the Sun Belt. I want to see Ball State. I want to see Old Dominion or James Madison. Old Dominion, if they can get to that level ever, or James Madison, they get back to that level they were at the end of their 1AA FCS reign and start of FBS when they were cooking with gas. You want to see everybody in there. But guess what? The little guy, the big boys don't care about the little guy. Sorry. It's going to be more dominance like we saw in the Final Four for men's college hoops this year when we had 4 number 1 seeds like Florida and Auburn and Houston and Duke before the Gators took down with the chomp Kelvin Sampson's Houston Cougars. Choking dog.
Well, as far as the football goes, I really don't care what they do, because if they don't include all conference champions, it's a farce.
You gonna boycott it?
No, I'm going to watch it because I know the Fighting Irish will be in there, baby. ND will be in there. I was trying to make letters with my hands. Couldn't do it.
That went miserably wrong. Don't do that again. It looked like you were about to take a gun and shoot them up, bang, bang. I don't know what you were doing over there.
I don't mind them not ranking in terms of being a conference champion. And I understand why they're doing that, because they want the number 4 SEC team to be ranked high. I get that. And I will give that in essence to have all the champions in there. And I do say go to 16 teams, cut it at 16. I know that's a lot for football and it takes up more bowl games, but that's fine, because one of the other things they need to change is get rid of about 12 bowls that have 6 and 6 teams in it, or 7 and 5 teams playing another 7 and 5 team. Get rid of those. Go 16-team tournament, all conference champions in, rank 1 through 16, and you could do it based on the final rankings, which means a Sun Belt champion would be ranked 16th. I have no problem with that. And a SEC number 4 could be the 4th ranked. I have no problem with that. But give all the champions a chance, even though it's probably 1 in a million that they could even win one game. Give them a chance to be in there. So football, whatever you do, until you do what I just said, I'll watch it because I'm a fan, but it ain't legit.
I think that committee is sitting there going, we better not do this because that Edward Vincent Young guy in Suffolk is against this. We better not. He called it a farce on that podcast of his.
If I was the sports czar, that whole
we
group
better not. We better not. Oh, they're shaking right now that you call it a farce. As all those millions and billions with a B, billions, come rolling in. You remember the Push It to the Limit song from Scarface? Push it to the limit while that money was being printed. I know you've seen that movie. Tell me you haven't seen Scarface.
I've seen Scarface. I don't remember the song.
You don't remember that song, Push It to the Limit? Go back and watch it this weekend, and then you'll know what I'm talking about. All that money is being printed. There was some reasons why it's being printed, which we won't get into on this particular part of the show as we wait for Coach Moore here. But that's what the college football playoff is doing in the TV. It's just bringing in eyeballs and money, and this just gets more of the powers to the end of the tourney and prevents opportunity for those little guys to upset the apple cart, if you will, make it harder for a Boise or a Ball State or a San Diego State or a fill in the blank from really disrupting what they truly want, which is an all SEC, all Big Ten showdown with a little bit of Notre Dame sprinkling in at the end of their party. That's what they truly want.
And I tell you what's going to happen eventually if it's a conference like the ACC. Let's say they lose a Clemson or even a Virginia Tech, Florida State. That conference will lose a whole lot of luster.
Where's
and
Virginia
they'll
Tech
be
gonna
in
go?
the
Wait, where's Virginia Tech? I know Clemson and Florida State have talked about the SEC migrating down there. Where's Virginia Tech going to go?
Virginia Tech, SEC.
You think so?
I hope it ain't the Big Ten. But in terms of alignment, SEC would fit their geographic location a little bit better, if we can even use that term anymore, in terms of football teams going wherever.
You just did. You can.
Yeah, I would say an ACC conference, as traditional as it is and whatever, would become one of those along the same lines of Sun Belt. No respect, no care by the committee people. Little boy can't win with the big boys, so get them out of there. The ACC would become that. Because, again, and we've had this with numerous guests on with us, it's coming down to two conferences, Big Ten, SEC. Both be about 25 teams each. Once they get there, that's it. We don't need the NCAA. We have all the power teams. We have all the money, all the TV eyes, and they'll just do their own thing. And I'm not really against that because it's heading that way anyways. But I would say then would have a boy champion.
Time out. You said you're not against that. You just railed against it for like 5 minutes there.
No, I said I'm for all conference champions to be in a conference playoff where we're trying to determine champ. If we're not, then why are they playing their season? Why does the Sun Belt have a league and why are they playing? Why is the MAC playing? If their champion can't be included,
but they weren't included prior to the playoff unless they had an undefeated run. They're included. It just makes it more difficult to have a body of work better than the third, fourth, fifth place team of the SEC. I'm not saying it's fair or right. I'm just telling you what it is.
And what it is doesn't mean it's always correct. It can be changed. And I'm saying,
I'm with you.
If I'm the sports czar, it's changing. We're giving a little boy a chance to win, and maybe they won't. Or win one every 20 years, who knows? But they deserve to be in there, just like in the NCAA tournament. If you're a conference champion, whether it's determined by regular season or the tournament, which can hurt a good team. Every league is represented at least by one team. Okay, they have a chance. And of course, we've seen in basketball, the underdog can go a lot further, if not win it. Though I do believe strongly we're not going to see those little underdogs in basketball win anymore because they're not going to have the players. Because once those smaller teams keep moving, their top player gets more money elsewhere. Mm-hmm. That's just common fact now. That's how it's going to be. And there still is a push in football. Okay, well, let's have, the big boy champion and then the next level champion. Well, we had that back in the day when you had Division 1A, 1AA, and all that. You had your different level champions, and all of a sudden that got eliminated. And now there are people talking about bringing that back under a different look.
Let's take a quick time out. We'll bring in Darnell Moore coming up here, the longtime coach at Woodrow Wilson Bayside High School, and also was the head man at Norfolk State. He'll remember the late, great Tommy Reamon with us when we come back here after this quick time out. You're watching 757 Saturday Sports Talk, streaming all the time on CoVA Sports TV. Stay tuned.
What makes a life a good one? Is it our adventures? Or the friends we find along the way? Is it the challenges we conquer together? Maybe it's the people's lives we touch every single day. So, what makes a life a good one? You'll have to figure that one out for yourself.
What is more? Is it more reps, more strength, more stamina? We say it's all of that, But it's greater than just what's in the mirror. It's about improving your mental and physical health. More is a feeling of achievement, fulfillment, confidence. It's looking better, feeling better, being better. And it's our mission to get you there. Because here, you are more. One Life Fitness.
Welcome back to 757 Sports Talk. No, it's not in the pool. It's Hatfield and Young at the Plex, the Virginia Beach Sportsplex. Here are two guys that, even though they never shut up, they're always dropping pearls of wisdom. Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
And we welcome you back to 757 Saturday Sports Talk, streaming here on CoVA Sports TV. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel with the Coach Ed Young. I am Matthew Hatfield, and we are now joined by a special guest. He is a longtime high school football coach in the Hampton Roads area. You know him from winning a couple of state titles back in 1989 and 1991 at Woodrow Wilson. Had that great quarterback slinging it in Aaron Sparrow. Then had another quarterback that slung it at Bayside and E.J. Manuel. Helped the Marlins win a memorable Eastern Region Championship in 2010. And in between, coached at Norfolk State as the head man of the Spartans. We say hello to our pal Darnell Moore, as we remember the late, great Tommy Reamon, who passed away this past week at the age of 73. Coach, you've always been a longtime friend of ours and come on with us whenever we've asked on the radio side of things, and we thank you so much. It's the first time we've had you on the podcast side of things, which was under better circumstances. How you been?
I've been doing fairly well, Matt. Good to see you and Ed. You know, I like to see it. It's regrettable for the circumstances, but, you know, it's life, you know.
It is.
Good,
and you know
to see you, Darnell. Good to see you.
Hold on, Ed. Coach Moore and I have the matching air shocks. You see that? He's got them on his. I've got them too. We've got matching air shocks. You got to get you a pair, Ed, to be in the cool club.
If Darnell Moore has it, I'll wear it. If Matt Hatfield has it, it's probably a good chance don't get it.
Oh, come on. See how tough he is on me, Darnell? Unbelievable.
Hey, look, that's because he loves you so much. You know, just like brothers.
Yeah, this is true. This is true. But as we remember Tommy Reamon, and you shared the story which we told on VirginiaPreps.com. People can check it out as well. You guys got to meet each other in the 1980s. We talked about it earlier in the show that it was almost John Madden-esque, and he had three different types of careers. Madden had the coaching of the Raiders, the broadcasting career that was storied, and then this video game, which the younger culture now has embraced full throttle. Tommy Reamon was a heck of a player back in his day, got to play in the NFL, the World Football League, after starting at Missouri Junior College prior to that, which certainly I think gave him an affinity for saving kids and giving them an opportunity to go the JUCO route. He then got into acting, Charlie's Angels, North Dallas 40, among other shows and movies. You'll see his face on there. And then he coached at 35 years at 6 different schools and just the profound impact he's had. Tell us about your first encounter and when you knew this guy was unique.
Well, I thought he was unique when I first met him. I'd heard some things about him, but I thought it was unique from the standpoint he was that competitor that wasn't going to give an inch about his team or about his players. You know, he was going to think that his players were the best players in the state, and that's how he coached them. You know, Tommy was such a competitor, you know, and I recall games that we played against him, and the majority of the time I won. But, you know, as Tom and I became good friends, I started to feel bad after the game. I mean, I didn't feel bad during the game, but after the game, I'd feel bad because Tommy would come across the field and he would have this pain look on his face, you know, like he'd lost his best friend. And he'd shake hands and everything. And he'd be all right the next day. But, you know, it was that competitive spirit in him and that will to succeed and to have the best happen for his kids. And that was what he was about. You know, he was about doing those things for those kids.
Now, many, many years later, you would coach against him, not only when you were at Woodrow Wilson and he was at Manor, when you were at Bayside and he was at Lansdowne. At the very end, you ended up becoming I guess we could almost call it part-time assistant coach / aide to Tommy, as the Eagles had a great run back in 2017, 12-0 start, reached the region championship in Region 6A. But you guys also, a thing that we didn't tell in the story that you have a chance to do, I know you got the shirt on that says staff, about the 757 All-Star Game group that you and Tommy helped get off the ground to have an All-Star Game to give kids an opportunity to get exposure and showcase their talents one last time. It went on for several years, and you did a lot of things in conjunction with that. Did you ever envision that you guys would be able to do those type of things when you first squared off in the 80s and would have so many of those great memories and good times?
No, we never, ever, at least I never ever thought that, about that possibility. Because, like they had the Virginia State All-Star Game, and, at that time, you didn't think that anything would overtake that. But as time went on and we had some things to happen. Matter of fact, I had a former student of mine from Woodrow Wilson wanted to do an all-star game, and he came to me and I told him, no, we can't. You can't do it like that. You need to do these things, So he came back the next year. I said, no, you got some other things you need to do. So the third year he came back, and I told him that I would help him with it, which I did. And the game went off okay, but the running of it was a little different from what I had expected. And I sat down with him and I honestly spoke in terms of, hey, this is what needs to be done if we're to continue. And that didn't pan out. So I talked with Tommy and some other friends that I knew and asked them if they would want to do it, because we wanted to make sure that the scholarships that we offer and the opportunity to play in the game were the mainstays of this game. And we were able to do that. My wife played a big part in that. Some of my coaching buddies played a big part in that. And of course, Tommy. And, it was a success. Over the 4 years or 5 years, we gave out over $20,000 in scholarships to different individuals to help them in their education. I thought that was good. I really did. And we even, as you know, or you probably know even better than I do, we had kids to come through that game, and some of them have played in the NFL, and some are playing in the NFL now. Some of them went to some major colleges and played, and what have you. So that was good. I really, really enjoyed seeing that.
Absolutely just fantastic what you and Coach Reamon have done. As we remember the late Tommy Reamon, who passed away this past week at the age of 73, with Coach Darnell Moore, who coached at Bayside and Woodrow Wilson, as well as Norfolk State, our guest here on 757 Saturday Sports Talk, powered by CoVA Sports TV. Ed.
Yeah, Darnell, I was talking at the beginning of the show when we mentioned about Tommy passing. I didn't have a chance to interact with him a lot, but the few times I did, he was funny, he was intelligent, and he always kind of gave me a bit of wisdom in coaching, which I'm always trying to pick up for anybody that I can meet that's in the coaching field, especially if they're successful. Mm-hmm. Your interactions with him on a personal level, one-on-one, those moments maybe when nobody else is around, what did you get from Tommy?
Well, I was a little bit older than Tommy. So, I was like, the guy that Tommy, he would rely on me for things, but the one thing that I got from Tommy was that Tommy was like the energizing bunny, energizer bunny. He never got tired. He never got tired of helping people. He went far beyond you would think that anyone would go for someone else's players. And he did that for his own as well. And he really didn't have to know you if someone that he knew recommended that you to him. And I think that Tommy part of his legacy is that he wanted to help people. He wanted to help kids get into school. Somebody did something for him, and he wanted to make sure that he was doing that. And I think that drove him all of his life. That drove him, that he would do that. Even after retiring from Lansdowne, he was getting together players from different schools and taking them to different college campuses and things like that. And he really wasn't coaching at that time, but that was in him. That was in him. And, the people that he helped, if they talked about it, you'd hear so many stories from things that Tommy would do for people. I know several times he rode all the way from Newport News every day. And sometimes he would come on the weekend because there was a player that needed something or didn't have anything to eat or something like that. And he would do that tirelessly, and I did things like that. But I learned that sometimes you had to pull back and allow parents to do some things as well, And I learned some of that from Tommy too, And I learned that, there are different ways that you can get to the same place and different methods that you can use. And I think Tommy took some of that from me as well, So in the years that I got to work with him, we were able to do some things. There were some things I wanted to do. He would say, okay, Darnell, you can, I want you to set this up for me, and he would say, you can do it whatever way you want to do it. But then he would say, okay, but I want to do this. I want to add this on. And that was good, And during the course of games and things like that, we really had some fun because we would laugh about some things. And, we would plan some things and we'd say, well, when this happens, we know such and such a thing, And when those things would happen during the course of a game, he would have the biggest smile and things on his face, And I got a big kick out of that because, Tommy had, I think, had gone maybe 8-2, and maybe it's been his best record. And Marcus and I we were talking to him, and we talked to him about what it would feel like to go undefeated, So, and that brought a big smile to his face just talking about it. And then when it came to pass, I don't think there was anybody happier in the entire state of Virginia than Tommy.
Yeah, and of course, you guys had that great run at Lansdowne. You, along with Tommy Reamon and Marcus Johnson Williams, who became the athletic director at Denby High School in Newport News, the guy that from your days of at Norfolk State and coaching Coach Moore. And from there, Ed, Denby, which has now got a pretty special young quarterback to build with here as they break in a new head coach after Tommy's retirement in Ray Malone. But that was one that raised some eyebrows, Ed.
Yeah, Darnell, that's what I was going to mention too, is when he took on the Denby situation, which was really tough. They hadn't been winning, kids leaving left and right. And Tommy was asked to step in there. And, at his age and point in his career, going to have been an easy, this ain't my gig because it's going to take a lot just to get off the ground. And he took it and he did the best he could with it. And he found, it seemed like silver lining in anything they did if they tied their shoes correctly. Tommy seemed to give them that praise that, hey, we're on the right track. And a lot of veteran coaches wouldn't do that because it's, as you well know, for a program that's down, it takes a lot of energy and you need a lot of help that you always don't get to get that program going back.
That's true, Ed. And when you're in a situation like that, you have to savor the small victories, the small V's. And when I say small V's, I'm not talking about, or the small W's, I'm not talking about winning the game. But when you work with some kids on doing specific things and they're able to go out there and accomplish some of that, then that's a measure of success for them. They can see growth in themselves. And as coaches, that's what we should be about, having these kids to see success in themselves. I used to tell my players all of the time, the main thing that I want to accomplish is to have you be able to walk away from this game and have something that you can say, I did this or we did this, and nobody can take that away from you, and I think that all kids participating in sports should be able to experience that.
And you're right on that, Phil, because we get caught up in the American way, which is go out and win games, no matter what level you are. We just want to win. And a lot of times it's only the coaches and maybe the players. We look at those little victories, like we had a great practice this week. We didn't win the game, but we see the improvement. And other people are like, Coach, you're losing. You got to feel bad. And then if that coach says, no, we're on the right track. Because again, as you know, you got to have talent to win games. The bottom line is you got to have the talent. And a lot of younger coaches today, in order to get the talent, will go out and recruit the talent instead of really get in the trenches and really try to make them good. Because the other problem today is you get your players up there and then somebody else takes them, and it's like, what am I doing this for? I'm going to lose the kids anyways, blah, blah, blah. Parents want to transfer the kids. It's really tough. But what Tommy, it seemed that that didn't faze him. It was, I'm going to help these kids get better. I don't need pats on the back. I don't need great amount of wins. He's already had a lot of wins. His career is so solidified. And the thing that I look at and listening to you, he was so happy to help other players from other teams, not take them, but get them the exposure or look or something that maybe they weren't getting it where they were, but he wasn't trying to get them to come to his team. That does not happen much nowadays.
That's true. And I like the time. I respect him a lot for that. I never, as a coach, never tried to recruit anyone else's player. I was accused of it one time, but they didn't understand that player's grandfather was one of my assistant coaches, and he had asked me to work with that kid during the summer with the understanding that kid was going to be going to another school. So I was giving him some quarterback drills at that time, never knowing that kid would end up in my football program. But, I look at coaching, and I think I mentioned this to Matt the other day, that for some people it's a job, for some it's a calling, just like teaching. It's a job for some people, and for other people it's a calling. And I had a high school teacher named Samson Smith, and I told Matt, I don't know why his parents named him Samson, because he was probably all of maybe 5 feet tall. But he had a big heart, and he would take his time to show you things. And I was in the 8th grade, and I was watching him showing some other class members how to do some things, and I said to myself, that's what I want to do. And I never wavered from that. And at the age of 14, I started coaching Little League baseball. And I thought I did a good job at it until my dad told me, he said, why you got those little kids out there bunting? Let them have some fun. Just let them hit the ball. I didn't do that, but because I felt like, hey, they need to learn how to bunt as well, But I just think that the word coach has a bigger meaning to some of us, and I think, the same with you, Ed, than it does for some other people, because, you think about the fact that you're coaching somebody's kids, and you want to treat that kid the same way you would want someone to treat your kid. You would want to try to guide that kid the same way you would want someone to guide your kid. Give them the best possible information, and at times, the life lessons that they need to learn. So I say now, with the way that the coaching is going, and I'll go further than that. I add more than just coaches. I'll say the administrators, are turning a blind eye to so many things that are going on that are not in the rule book. You know, they wouldn't stand up to the scrutiny in the rule book. It was brought out, and we saw that happen this past year with one school in the other part of the state. And that kind of stuff has been going on a long time around here, you know, and I just felt like I was never going to do that, because I felt like, you know, if it happens and somebody say you did such and such a thing, and, you know, you have to stand up to that, you know, you had to bite the bullet. You know, and I just never wanted a kid to feel like he had me over the barrel. I couldn't coach him the way I wanted to, or I couldn't discipline him the way I wanted to. So whenever it came to me that a kid in my program was contemplating going to another school, I would call him in and I would tell him, if you want to go. I don't care. I said, but you will never be as good a ball player at this other school as you would be if you stayed here with me. And for the most part, I only lost what I consider one good football player. And that thing that I told him that he wouldn't be as good going, he wasn't at the other place, you know. And I try to teach, you know, the life lessons, you know. If I'm teaching you to do things the wrong way, or do something wrong in order to get what you want, you know, to me, I wouldn't want somebody teaching a kid of mine that, you know, and it's difficult for me as a coach to lend credence to coaches doing that, because it's win at any cost, you know, and that's not how life is. It really isn't, you know. So I have a problem with that, as I'm sure you do it too, Ed.
Oh, he does. There's no doubt about it. We could get him. You might start a 45-minute rant that takes us beyond 12 noon with that. But you hit on a lot of things, Coach Moore, that I think both of you, speaking from experience, know quite well here, as we remember the late Tommy Reamon, who passed away this past week at the age of 73. For those who didn't hear, unfortunately suffered a stroke a couple months ago and was hospitalized. And we send our very best, our condolences, our thoughts and prayers to all those that he affected, especially his entire family, and Tommy Jr., who I know you've gotten over the years as well,
Yes.
Coach Moore.
Yes. You know, and I tell you, I first met Tommy Jr., of course, and this is when Tommy, after Tommy and I had met, and I was living in Virginia Beach at the time, at, well, I don't know, maybe Chesapeake, the Alexandria section of Chesapeake. And Tommy Jr. came by the house, and we were sitting on the floor talking and everything. Tommy Jr. was in diapers then, man, you know, and I got to know the both of them over the years, and to keep up with what they were doing, you know. And as you said, you know, my condolences goes out to Tommy Jr. and Tommy's wife, Cheryl. I know what they are feeling. I know what they're going through. And, you know, it's one of those things where people will say to you, they'll say, well, you know, we have to take it one day at a time, you know, and I say, no, we have to take it 1 second at a time. And it's 86,400 seconds in a day, you know, because, you know, when you lose someone that's close to you like that, you're thinking about them all the time, and you may be having a good day, and all of a sudden, you know, you break down, and you're wondering why, you know. So that's why I say you have to take it a second. You have to take it a second at a time, not a day at a time, but a second at a time, you know, and until you get stronger. And you know, so I empathize with them, because you know, I know how they're feeling and how it's going. You know, my brother passing, and 17 days later, my wife passing. You know, so it's a tough time for them. And you know, when everything is said and done, you know, they still need support. You know, that call every now and then to let somebody know that they're thinking about them, and or if they need anything, if they just need to talk, that helps, And Tommy was that kind of person, because I know that when a couple of years ago when my wife was sick with COVID and everything, and how he was very attentive to calling and checking on her and that type of thing, and asking if she needs anything, anything like that, So that's what Tommy would do, So I say to all of his friends, that keep little Tommy in your prayers and his wife Cheryl, and don't think that okay he's okay now, a week later, a month later. It doesn't happen like that, So it's a situation, as I say it, that it's 86,400 seconds a day, and that we have to deal with.
That's a good way of putting it and well put. And we send our best to you, Coach Moore. I know it's been a tough year for you with the loss of your wife and your brother last year. And I've forgotten for a moment there, you brought up also his wife, Cheryl, in Tommy's case. I didn't know he had gotten married until I think it was Dominic Velarde at Todd Stadium. I want to say it was last year at the opener against Granby, congratulated him on his marriage. And I looked over and said, that's why he's smiling so much. He's got a new wife. Happy wife, happy life.
Yeah, he was happy about that.
For sure. Yeah. Well, Ed, any final thoughts? I mean, we're definitely going to get you back on here, Coach Moore, when there's better circumstances to get you talk some football with us. Maybe have you make some picks against Ed or something, or have some fun so I can go at him and double team him here, because he gives me too much of a hard time. Any final thoughts you got, Edward?
No, like I said, we're going to miss Tommy, and like Darnell said, you only got so much time, and tomorrow's not guaranteed. So you got to live your life, and yes, you do plan and look ahead, but at the same time, you got to take care of today, and also kind of a reminder to check up on your friends, people that are close to you. I know I've got some people telling me, "Hey, man, Coach, we got to get together," and be some of my players from the past, and I tell them, "Hey, look, I'm a lot further along than you are, so we can't just talk about doing it. We're going to have to do it, because I don't want that meeting to be you guys coming to my funeral." And that's the time that we meet, because I've done that. I've actually done that with a couple of my former players, that we had set something up. And the next thing I know, I was attending their funeral and speaking at their funeral. And that hits way different, way hard. So you really got to, understand what's going on, and holding grudges too. It's another thing I was talking to one of my former players about. Him and another player had grudges over the years and really haven't been speaking. And I told him, you guys are in your 50s now. You're not 19, 18, 16 years old. You got to let that stuff go, whatever happened in the past, and talk about it and move on, because at one time they were really, really not only good teammates, but they were friends. And I said, because one of you is going to pass pretty soon, and then you're going to regret. And that's one of the worst things to have, is regret in somebody's passing, because there's nothing you can do about it. Right. So do about it now while they're there. And if it means just to say, I'm sorry, or I was wrong, ain't nothing wrong with that. Do it and move on.
That's right. That's true. That's great.
Well, Coach Moore, we thank you for doing this, and always a pleasure. Again, hope you have a great rest of your weekend here on Memorial Day, and go give our buddy John White over there at Bayside, one of your proteges, a hard time for us, all right?
Okay, now one last thing I want to say.
Sure.
In reference to what Ed just said, I have some of my former players from Wilson who usually do a get-together every year. This guy does a great cookout in his backyard, and he invites former players and other students, other athletes from Wilson High School. And these guys call me. I get calls. I probably get 40, 50 calls a year or more, from the former players checking in on me and that type of thing. And it makes you feel good. It makes you feel old, but it makes you feel good too when they tell you about what it meant to them to be able to have some success and have you help to guide them in their life, and it makes it all worth it.
Yeah, that's awesome, fantastic stuff there. Well, Coach, go hit a couple of golf balls, and if you happen to hit Ed's car on the way, even better.
Okay, what color is this car?
It's a black Charger. You can't miss it.
Red.
Okay.
It's red.
Okay.
Not red. He'll get red if you hit it, though.
Hold on. Darnell, what I've heard how you hit some of them golf balls, I can put my car next to the hole, and I've been told you might not hit it.
Well, Ed, I haven't played in a year and a half.
Wow.
And actually, I haven't played. It's almost 2 years now. But you give me 5 shots and I'd hit it twice.
There you go. That's what I want to hear. That's what I want to hear from
Darnell, that's the thing. You talk about Tommy being competitor. So one thing I know about Darnell Moore, he ain't backing down from nobody, and he ain't worried about taking on a role or a challenge, because that's what's made you and your career. And, I can't let you go without saying, I've admired your career from afar and the stuff that you have done and the athletes that you have made. And I can see why you're getting 40, 50 calls a year. It should be more. You have made an impact on so many.
We got to get Coach Moore in these Hall of Fames, Ed. You always do the campaigner for Lynn Burke and some of our buddies. We got to get Coach Moore in some of these Hall of Fames because it's long overdue.
Yeah, again, people like, and I don't want to say it because Coach is right in front of me, but guys like this who don't get in a Hall of Fame, I just simply say, is this a real Hall of Fame? I mean, what's the guy got to do to get in there? But Darnell, when it comes to coaching in football, as far as I'm concerned, if you're not in a Hall of Fame, to me, it's losing its luster.
Well, I thank you for saying that, Ed, and I know you're going to get in there.
He'll be first in the buffet line, no doubt about it. He'll be there.
I'll be in the Hall of Fame if I go walking through and they have some free food, because if it's free, it's me. I would be in there. But and I don't want to keep holding you up, but as long as I know my players, I've given the best to my players and the guys, and you said it just perfectly. I get a call years later from them and they say, Coach, thank you for getting me to where I am. And, I use some of your coaching methods with my own family. When they bring that one up to me, I go berserk. And I always throw back at them, yeah, but boy, you gave me a hard time and now you see it. But that's sometimes the idea of coaching. The fruits of your labor are not really seen until later. And I don't need a Hall of Fame. I don't need trophies. I don't need Coach of the Years, because I've got players living, breathing out there, walking in their 30s, 40s, 50s with kids. And when I hear that I've had some kind of impact, even though those times we push them in the running and the lifting, which they hated, they come back and say, man, I wish I could have stayed with that now because my health isn't good. And I wish I could have stayed with that because I got that from you. That's all I need for accolades. And I wish the younger coaches out there would understand that. You don't need trophies. You don't need to go out and recruit the players. Just coach them. Do the best you can with what you have. Your fruits of your labor will be shown.
True. Very well said.
We'll have to get together sometime for lunch, Coach Moore and Ed will buy. And we hope you have a great rest of your weekend, all right?
All right. You take care, both of you.
All righty.
Thanks, Darnell.
All right, God bless. Bye-bye.
Coach Darnell Moore joining us here to remember the late Tommy Reamon, who passed at the age of 73 this past week. Coming up next, we have a special edition of Fact or Fiction with Ed Young versus a mystery guest. No, Ed Young is not going to go against Darnell Moore. It would be an L. We know that. It would be an L. He might be an L anyway, but you'll find out who that mystery guest will be after our commercial break right here on CoVA Sports TV. Stay tuned. More coming your way after we hear from some of the sponsors that make it possible for us to stream with you. Back in a bit.
What is more? Is it more reps, more strength, more stamina? We say it's all of that, but it's greater than just what's in the mirror. It's about improving your mental and physical health. More is a feeling of achievement, fulfillment, confidence. It's looking better, feeling better, being better, and it's our mission to get you there, because here you are more. One Life Fitness.
As a banker at Town Bank, we believe that people bank with people, not with banks. You're looking for an actual personal relationship, and that's what you get at our bank. You get that person that gets to know you, gets to know your business, is there for you. I think that is what motivates us, what drives us, and the idea that we are trying to serve others and enrich lives, I think is very true.
What makes a life a good one? Is it our adventures? Or the friends we find along the way? Is it the challenges we conquer together? Maybe it's the people's lives we touch every single day. So, what makes a life a good one? You'll have to figure that one out for yourself.
Well, it's everybody's favorite time of year again. Time to prepare to make your annual donation to that infernal revenue service. And if you're like me, you need help. Help to keep that donation as small as possible. So get off your W-2 and call John Maynard at John's Tax Service. 455-6763.
Portco is your local nonprofit organization dedicated to economic empowerment through employment for people with disabilities. We focus on abilities, not limitations, providing on-the-job vocational support. Find your pathway to employment. Contact us or learn more at portco.org.
I'm Dr. Mark Cardelia, orthopedic surgeon and surgical director of the CHKD Sports Medicine Program. We see a lot of knee injuries in student athletes these days, and many of these are ACL tears. Parents often ask how to know when a knee injury may be serious. The most obvious symptom is severe pain or swelling in the knee joint. Your child may have heard a pop when the injury occurred. Look for signs they can't put weight on the knee around 48 hours after the injury, or if the knee feels unstable or wobbly. Those are all signs you should see a CHKD sports medicine specialist. Our sports medicine physicians, surgeons, athletic trainers, and physical therapists understand the needs of growing athletes and tailor treatment to fit each child's age and level of activity. Our goal is to accurately diagnose the problem in a timely fashion and provide the treatment that will ensure a safe return to activity. Kids want to play, and we want to help them get back in the game. To learn more, visit chkd.org. Sports medicine at CHKD. We're more than a hospital.
Do you know the difference between the truth and a lie?
Yes.
Tell me the difference.
A lie is a story that you make up, and the truth is what happened.
If I were to hold up this object and tell you that this was an elephant, would that be the truth or a lie?
A lie.
If I were to tell you that my court officer was a short, fat, bald guy, would that be the truth or a lie?
A lie.
Now, if I were to tell you that the judge in this case is a young, beautiful woman, would that be the truth or a lie?
The truth.
Yes. Very smart.
And now back to Matthew Hatfield and that evil basketball coach. Blast you, Ed Young!
And welcome back to 757 Saturday Sports Talk, powered by CoVA Sports TV. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel and interact wherever you may be tuning in, as we are now ready to play Fact or Fiction with the mystery guest. And look who it is, Ed Young, none other than the infamous statistician and bookkeeper from Green Run High School, home of the reigning Class 5 state basketball champions. I promised him if they won the state championship, we let him come on the show, and here he is. We say hello and congrats to Reamon Weaver. Ray, do you have your championship ring or shirt yet?
I literally got the shirt on right now.
Okay, that's what's up. Good stuff.
Ray, is that the championship shirt?
Yeah.
We can't see the whole thing.
Oh,
back up a little bit.
Yeah. Let me go.
There we go. There we go.
Shirt. Look at that.
Okay, now who came up with design? Was that Coach Harris?
It was just on the site that we had to get it from. So I saw that and was like, "Yep, got to get one."
Well, I tell you what, I haven't gotten one. They don't send me one, but But during COVID, I thought it was a worthy cause to go get one during that year, which was so crazy, as you recall. Didn't get a chance to play in the championship game. So I know it was a thrill for you. Before we dig into fact or fiction with you and Coach Young, being a long-time Green Run Stallion, you've been doing the book since, I think, right after Ed Young left to go to Nansemond River. He spurned you guys, and Danny Erb took over. Then you remained with Coach Harris. That had to be one of the biggest thrills of your life, to watch Cash Jackson go coast to coast and win it at the buzzer.
Just honestly, it was like this whole 20-year experience of doing this it just culminated with that. And it was just like, it was an awesome, very wonderful experience overall.
See, Ed, the thing that people don't know, and I remember Carlos Poindexter at Hayfield a couple years ago when his longtime bookkeeper lady, and I apologize for not knowing her name. If somebody out there, if Carlos is watching or somebody out there knows her name, I'll shout her out here. But she's been doing it, I think, even longer than you, Ray, like 32 years or 42 years. They live and breathe and die with their teams. They're there, and they have to stay composed at the table, make sure the book is right. Everybody doesn't yell at them, even though we know Coach Harris from time to time will yell at you if you don't have something right. That's what he does, and that's what Ed Young does to all his bookkeeper ladies, which why they quit after a year. They couldn't deal with his nonsense. But I'm sure once it was all said and done, it was a feeling like none other, right?
Exactly. Yes. Very much.
I got to ask
so.
Ray. I've had a couple bookkeepers over the years who
a couple hundred
messed the numbers up. I mean, I've had great ones. None of them were bad. Off the top of my head, I can be thinking of about 20 of them. None of them bad. They did a great job for me. But there were a couple that did not put the right numbers in. Oh. And we got some technical fouls, which, wrong number, which gets, put on me, and I'll take the blame because
your fault.
And this is how good they were. I never really checked behind them because they were always so good. So when they did get a technical, I blame myself for not checking behind them. Did you ever mess up the numbers in the book and cause Coach Harris to get a technical foul for the wrong number?
Don't tell me you did, Ray. Please don't tell me you did.
No,
I'll say this.
Uh-oh.
He is always the one that puts in the numbers before he hands it to me. So I'm always been the one that's like, all right, I'm trusting you. And then when I see something is wrong, I go to him.
So
that didn't answer the question if you ever got technical or not. So he played the
not
fifth.
For, as far as I can recall, not for wrong number. We got technicals for the game for other reasons, but not for numbers.
Not your fault. That's good.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's Coach Harris that you've gone to and said, Coach, this is number 20 is not number 20, it's 10. So you've corrected him a few times.
I'll be specific. It was because I do it for varsity and JV, and sometimes it's not necessarily all varsity that happens with. I'll just say that.
Okay. That makes sense because there's some JV call-ups and things of that nature. Gotcha. Good deal. We won't bore the audience with too much of minutia. Here's the more pressing thing. Are you ready, Ray, to kick some butt and put Ed Young in his place here in Fact or Fiction?
I know the last time I faced him in Fact or Fiction, it came down the last one, so I'm ready to go.
All right, here we go. It's time for some Fact or Fiction with Edward Young, the former basketball coach at Nansemond River, Norview, Suffolk High School, and once upon a time at Green High School with the longtime Stallions bookkeeper and statistician, Reamon Weaver. Here we go. Let's put on some music here to get us all hyped for this. So we alternate who goes first. You said you can't hear me. You pointed to your ear. You all right?
Now we hear you.
Okay, you couldn't hear me. Okay, let's start that over again. You get 1 point apiece for the 5 trivia questions that you answer correctly. We alternate who goes first. And then at the end, we do a 2-point bonus question in which the guy that is in the lead must go first because otherwise he can just follow and answer the person after. And it doesn't have to be a guy. It could be a gal. Person in the lead, I should say. So here we go. Since Ray is our special guest today, he gets to go first. Are you ready, Mr. Weaver?
I'm ready.
Here we go. Fact or fiction? And we're going to start things off with a Green Run related question. Oh, wouldn't you know? Green Run, during the 2020 season, its football team pitched 3 consecutive shutouts for the first time in program history. Is that a fact or is that fiction?
Oh, man. For some reason, I'm going to say fiction.
Okay, he says fiction, Ed. Green Run pitched 3 consecutive shutouts during the 2024 season. They actually were the first 3 of the season. Was that the first time they ever did it in the entire school history? Or do you concur with Reamon that it's fiction? What do you think?
I concur with Reamon. It has been done before. It's fiction.
All right. And believe it or not, both gentlemen got this right. It has happened before. You got to go back to 1988 when Cadillac Harris. Oh, yeah, he had some battles with Tommy Reamon and Darnell Moore and those guys. Back in 1988, the stadium's named after Elijah Cadillac Harris at Green Run. 4 in a row with Cox, Princess Anne, Kellum, and Granby consecutively. So put down a point for Reamon, put down a point for Edward, and Ed's not trailing just yet in this game, and he gets to go first for question number 2. You ready, Coach Young?
Bring it.
Bring it, he says. We're going to give you a Yankee question. Since we've got to make it fair. You know, Ray, if we don't give Ed a Yankee question, he'll protest this game. So we got to give him a Yankee question. So here it is. Ed Young. Derek Jeter was the only member of the New York Yankees to win American League Rookie of the Year. Why are you hiding your face in your hands during the 1990s? Is that a fact or is that fiction? Derek Jeter was the only member of the New York Yankees to win American League Rookie of the Year during the 1990s.
That is absolute fact because I know my Yankees.
All right, he's confident, Ray. You agree with Ed that Derek Jeter was the only member of the Yankees to win Rookie of the Year in the American League during the 1990s, or do you think it's fiction and he's wrong?
I personally think I can't see how I don't remember what year Rivera started. I personally can't see how he didn't win Rookie of the Year, so I'm going to say fact.
You're going to agree with Ed that it's a fact?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so you're both correct. It is a fact. A lot of people thought Alfonso Soriano got it. Not the 1990s if he did. I don't think he did get it. But it is a fact. So 2 points for each of you guys. We remain even. Status quo. And Ray, you're up for question number 3 as we go first with it. And we're going to go to football. Hike. Johnny Unitas, Ray, was the first quarterback to throw for 4,000 yards in an NFL season. Is that a fact or is that fiction?
Not entirely too sure, but I think it's fiction.
Okay. Ray's going with fiction. Ed, do you concur or do you think it's a fact? Johnny U, the first quarterback to throw for 4,000 yards in a season.
My first reaction is fiction because I think one of those older heads threw, and for some reason I'm thinking of Sammy Ball or Y.A. Tittle, somebody back in them. I'm going to say fiction.
4,000? You sure about that? Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to say fiction.
It is indeed fiction, as Ed wanted to copycat Reamon because he knows Reamon knows his sports. He's 3 for 3, and so is Coach Young. Now, neither one of you got a point for this. Do you know who the guy was that was the first to throw for 4,000 yards in a season since it wasn't Johnny U?
Not off the top of my head, I don't.
How about you, Ed? Any idea?
Sammy Ball?
Nope, it wasn't Ball or Tittle, one of those guys. It was actually Joe Namath. Joe Willie. 4,007 in 1967.
Joe Willie.
Use that when you're with your friends and you got to win a bet or something. All right. Question number 4, and Ed gets to go first on this one. We go back to baseball. We're tied up at 3 apiece. Fact or fiction, Ed, the Chicago Cubs hold the National League record for most wins in a single season. Is that a fact or is that fiction? They've been known as the lovable losers, right?
Yeah, that's a fact.
That's a fact? Okay. He thinks it's a fact. Reamon, do you agree or do you disagree?
I would not be surprised if it was a fact, so I'm going to say fact.
Believe it or not, Reamon is good. Ed's tried to dupe him because he probably knows some of this useless trivia stuff, but you're both right. It is a fact. 1906, 116 games by the Cubbies. It's a record, and we're square. This is the first time, I think, in the history of this game, every 4 questions, both guys concurred, and both guys got them all right. This is a first. I'm stunned. maybe my questions are too easy. So we go to question number 5 before the very, very pivotal 2-point bonus question. So make or miss here, Ray. The game's far from over here. You're going down the wire. This is like biting your fingernails at the end of a 13-inning baseball game or the state championship. And speaking of the state championship, we go back to basketball on the high school front of the Green Run Stallions. Green Run's basketball team had its 2 lowest scoring outputs for the 2024-2025 season during the state semis against Woodside and state finals against Albemarle. Ray, is that a fact or is that fiction as Ed tries to look up in his ceiling and find the answer? You can't find it up there, Ed.
God. I'm going to say, trying to remember off the top of my head, going through all the teams.
2 lowest scoring outputs came in the
I'm pretty sure 34 was the lowest when against Woodside, but I think there might have been 1 or 2 that had a little lower than 41, so I'm going to say fiction.
You're going to go fiction, okay? Ed, do you concur with Reamon that it's fiction? The Green Run Stallions did not have its 2 lowest scoring outputs in the state semis and the state finals, or do you disagree and actually think that's a fact?
I'm going to go, just to be different, that is a fact.
He's going to say that's a fact, Ray. And believe it or not, it is a fact. The 39 versus Woodside in the win and 43 versus Albemarle in the win, less than the 64 that you had in the loss to Woodside and 49 loss to Kellum, 2 defeats you later benched. But fear no evil. Nothing's wrong here, Ray. You're down 5-4. Ed's having the luckiest streak of his life here. He'll go buy a lottery ticket and buy us all steaks and mansions, and he'll be going to Jamaica here soon because if he gets this bonus one right, it is what it is. But he has to go first because if we make you go first, he'll be a copycat and cheat and win. We don't want him to. He likes to play by the rules of life. You can't steal if you must, but always cheat. But he's not going to get a chance to cheat here. So, Ed, are you ready for the bonus factor fiction question?
In the words of a great man, come on, man.
Here we go, Ed. We go to the NBA playoffs. Ed Young. Never in NBA history have both the Eastern Conference and Western Conference finals resulted in a sweep in the same year, which technically could happen this year if the Thunder win the next 2 and the Pacers win the next 2. Is this a fact, this question that's on the screen here, or is it fiction? Never in NBA history have both the Eastern Conference and Western Conference finals resulted in a sweep in the same year. Never. Fact or fiction, Ed?
Well, not knowing this one at all, I'm going to say fact.
You're going to say fact.
I'm going to say fact.
You think that this is a fact, okay?
This one I have no idea.
Reamon, in order to win the game, you have to disagree with them, whether you think it's fact or fiction here. So what do you think? And what's your answer? You can give us both of those.
I mean, obviously, I'm going to go with fiction, but
okay.
I do not recall both conference finals ever being both a sweep at the same time. So I think it's fiction.
So you think it's fiction? All right. Does Reamon pull it off at the buzzer like Cash Jackson? All right. We were all rooting for you. We all wanted you to win. But unfortunately, the bad guy wins sometimes. And it is a fact. It's never happened. It's happened 6 times in the Eastern Conference Finals, 86, 91, 96, 2003, 2015, and 2024. In the Western Conference Finals, it's happened 12 times, 74, 77, 82, 87, 89, 98 with my Utah Jazz, 99, 2001, 2013, 2017, 2019, and 2023. So Ed Young, miraculously, and we do mean miraculously because you batted, Ray. You got 4 out of 6 questions right, which is usually good enough to beat the other guy in this game, but Ed Young sweeps the board.
Sorry, Ray. I mean, you made me sweat a little bit, but
the best he's ever played in this game. Ever.
No, I've swept it before.
No, you haven't. No, that's a lie. Do I have to play Judge Judy again? You are fibbing. That's a lie.
Well, I'll say in all honesty, on that last question, I was thinking of the points we gave up. on that question. I had the wording mixed up in my head.
It's okay.
Yeah, I thought, Ray, for sure about the low scoring for Green Run, you would have it because you have the book in front of you all year long. I thought there was no way Ray get that one wrong because you've had it in front of you. And the reason I knew it was I remember talking with Kenny towards the end there, the Albemarle, after he won a state title, and he was like, and this is our lowest scoring games and we're still able to win for the season. So I remember that. So that's why I got that one right.
It's okay. You can root against Ed the next time he plays in this game, or you can root against his teams, which is always a good thing to do. So there's many teams that he has out there, be it the Raiders, be it the Yankees, be it the whatever NBA team or NHL team that's his flavor of the month, and of course Notre Dame. So Ray, this was fun having you on. We look forward to getting you back on again, perhaps if the Stallions can make it back to back, or you're always welcome to chime in with us. Thank you so much. Enjoy your Memorial Day weekend. Any parting shots or hellos you want to say or shout outs you want to give before we bid it with you?
First off, I want to say, I want to thank you both for what you do for this community, for all the high school athletes around, because that's now when I first started, it really wasn't around that much. And to see what it is now, it's awesome to see that.
Really appreciate that, and thank you for what you do, because we couldn't have games without bookkeepers and scorekeepers and stat gurus like yourself. Well,
I want to say this too.
Yeah, go ahead, Ed.
It was long, Ray. A lot of people don't want to do the book because it is pressure. And there's no glory in it. You get yelled at by all kinds. You have done it. You've taken it to another level. You have shown the importance of it. And we talk a lot about the greats and different aspects of the game. We talk about best announcer sometimes in the area. And Mr. Nettles, I think, is that one, and game announcer who you sat next to. Ray, you probably got my vote because I can't think of nobody that takes it more serious than you, who's very in tune to it and is dedicated to it. So hats off to you on keep doing that and keep it going. And if anybody ever needs to learn how to do a book, I'd tell them go see Ray Weaver.
Well, I appreciate the comments. Thank you.
Well, as we head to break and we come back and put the finishing touches on the show, we'll give you a chance, those of you that missed what happened, like Ray got to witness, as did we courtside in March at the Siegel Center. Here's what happened when the Green Run Stallions and the Albemarle Patriots had a finish to the wire. Take a look.
Here they come. Albemarle set to get it in. 12 ticks to play. Ragland inside. Two defenders surrounding him. And we're tied up with 8 seconds to go. Cash Jackson with 5, 4. Jackson to the basket. Layup. It's good at the buzzer. Green Run has captured the 2025 Virginia High School League State Basketball Championship at the buzzer.
Hampton Roads has a long-running high school and college sports tradition. It's time to give them the spotlight they deserve. This is 757 Sports Talk.
Usually it's Hatfield. That's why I try to tell everybody, get on Hatfield. He is the legal scribe, the talking head that knows all this, puts the whammies on. We do things different on this podcast. That's why we're rated number 3 in the state.
You got Play-Doh? Get out of here! We got people all over the globe watching with us. Sitting in a phone booth with you would be very...
we got to have your own phone booth. I'm not sitting in no phone booth with you.
It is 757 Saturday Sports Talk here on CoVA Sports TV. Like, share, and subscribe.
James Catato tells us tonight there's a new team making new noise in the USL2 scene on the other side of the water.
Something special is brewing inside the walls of the Virginia Beach Sportsplex.
We're not here for moral victories. When we're on our day, we're a legit team.
See the stars of the future in pre-professional action at the Virginia Beach Sportsplex. This combined season ticket special is for men's and women's. That's 15 games for just $100 for adults and $80 for youth. VBU has a brand new women's team that competes in the W League. Soccer fans, it's time to rally behind Virginia Beach United. Tickets are on sale now. Visit vbunited.com. Don't miss out on Virginia Beach United.
As a banker at Town Bank, we believe that people bank with people, not with banks. You're looking for an actual personal relationship, and that's what you get at our bank. You get that person that gets to know you, gets to know your business, is there for you. I think that is what motivates us, what drives us. And the idea that we are trying to serve others and enrich lives, I think is very true.
And now back to Matthew Hatfield and the evil basketball coach. Blast you, Ed Young!
And we're back here on 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel with CoVA Sports TV, wherever you are. Always interact with us. Comment if you can. We have a poll up there on our YouTube channel this morning. And you know who else is watching this morning? We got to shout him out here. Look who's up there, Keith. Good morning, Keith. He's watching with us on YouTube. Even though our man Derek didn't have to help him out. He's in Jamaica today. We appreciate Keith chiming in. And he can vote on the poll, too. Our poll was, will any of the NHL or NBA conference finals go to a Game 7 this year? Right now, it's 50% across the board on that. Let us know what you think. And we also are asking up on our comments on CoVA Sports TV, if you're just now tuning in this morning, about which team in the NHL or NBA conference finals can rally from 2-0 down to win. Canes, Knicks, or Wolves. If you had to pick just one, I don't think any of them will ultimately, Ed. You would select whom?
I would go probably Knicks.
Probably Knicks. I agree. I think the Wolves and the Canes are very much in the scenario of being swept potentially. I think if they lose tonight, either one of them, I think it's done in 4. So there you have it. We've never had 2 conference NBA finals swept, as that was part of our Factor Fiction we had earlier with you and Ray Weaver, longtime bookkeeper at Green Run. And we also thank Darnell Moore for coming by, the longtime coach in the 757 who coached at Bayside, Woodrow Wilson, Norfolk State, remembering the late Tommy Reamon, who passed, beloved football coach at the age of 73 this week. As we get ready to bid adieu on this particular Saturday, Ed, Indy 500 is today. Do you have a racing pick on who is going to win it? I know you do.
I thought it was tomorrow, but it doesn't matter.
It's not today. It is tomorrow. You're right. What did I say today?
It is tomorrow?
Indy 500 is this weekend. Yeah, you're correct. It is not today. It's tomorrow. My apologies.
I always thought when it first started out, it was always on Memorial Day.
No, it's on Sunday. You're right. It is tomorrow, and it's at 12:45 Eastern, and it's on Fox with the coverage starting at 10 a.m. So I do apologize. I don't know why I said today. It is tomorrow. I had a brain fart.
I'm gonna go Scott Dixon to win it.
Scott Dixon to win it. Okay.
Do we do like in horse races? You do win place show.
I wasn't going to, but I appears you're going that direction. So you might as well finish it up and give us your place and show, your second and your third.
Alex Pillow.
Who?
Alex Pillow.
You don't know a thing about these guys. Go ahead.
11-2. And
that's the odds. We understand that. And who's your third one?
I'm going to go Alexander Rossi.
Okay, not bad. I think it's going to come down to these 2 drivers, Takuma Sato and Christian Lundgaard. And ultimately, I'm going to give the edge to Sato, who's known for his aggressive driving style and the motto of no attack, no chance. So give me Sato, the Japanese-born racer, to get it done, to win the Indy 500. He's had 6 wins, but this would be an all-timer win in IndyCar series for him. He's 48 years of age. I think he's going to do it and represent Japan well. Give me Takuma Sato to get it done. His odds currently sitting at 9-1 right now.
And somebody may say, well, how about why are we not picking the 2-time back-to-back winner to go for 3? Newgarden, I think is his last name. Well, his group was the one that had got their hands slapped.
Yeah.
And for doing some car modifications that were not legal. So he has to start weighing the back. And I think when you start weighing the back, you're more susceptible to accidents. 33 cars going over 200 some miles an hour. I wouldn't want to be in the rear end of all that mess.
And a lot of people like as a long shot Kyle Larson, who's trying to attempt the double here. He did it last year in terms of Indy 500 debut. He's a NASCAR driver with 32 NASCAR Cup Series wins. I don't think he'll do it, but he is a long shot people are liking right now, and I think last check 18-1. So he's a trendy pick for the long shot.
And two of my favorite names who have a outside shot, and I think one has won it before, Will Power. That's his real name, Will Power, who I think has won one in the past. And one of my all-time favorites I don't think has ever won, Stingray Robb.
Mm-hmm. And by the way, this will be Sato's third Indy 500 win if he gets it. He's the only Asian driver remaining to win the event. He did it in 2017. Trifecta, his third time in victory lane at Indy. That's going to wrap up this edition of the program. You have a wonderful Memorial Day weekend, Edward. Don't have too much fun in the sun. And we will do it again next week on the final Saturday of May 2025. And don't forget, folks, if the Rockies win today, Ed Young will have a Colorado Rockies tattoo for next week's show.
I put it right there.
Oh, really?
CR. Wow. CR.
Well, you know, I feel bad that you have to get a tattoo and I don't. So I will go out on a limb like you did and say if the Carolina Hurricanes rally to win against the Florida Panthers, who have spanked them, I will get Ed Young's name.
No.
Placed.
No, don't do that.
On the backside.
Don't put my name anywhere on your body.
I will.
Remember
Charles Barkley and Kenny Smith? He'd kiss his, you know what? It was a donkey.
Right.
I will get Ed Young's name placed on my backside if Carolina wins 4 of the next 5 potentially.
That's right. You had Carolina winning the East, but I think
did, and Dallas won the West. I feel okay about Dallas, but Carolina's not winning the
And I had the Panthers winning the whole thing. So
no, you didn't. And if Carolina rallies to win that series, like I said, I will get Ed Young's name placed on my backside. You heard it right here first.
It's not going to happen because I don't want people to think that whatever. I don't want that to come across in any shape or form.
All right. Have a great weekend. Yeah, go ahead.
By the way, Monday, my calendar's open. People out there, anybody got a barbecue going on, this guy is waiting to be invited because I don't have anything scheduled for that. My agenda today and tomorrow, though, is taken care of by some persons, but Monday isn't. So
just remember, if it's 5 o'clock, folks.
If it's 5 o'clock somewhere, what time is it here? And when will they serve me my Ovaltine? More Ovaltine, please. Until next visit, this is Andy Rooney for Wondering Aloud on Poolside Adventures.